Hi, I'm Judy Ladena, a 30 student of Occidental Mindoro State College, taking up bachelor and secondary education. Now, our main topic for today, or my discussion for today, is all about the 10 ways to improve your listening skills. It is said that March is the International Listening Awareness Month, but I guess every month is a good time to check how well we listen. I want to share an experience of mine back in 2012, I guess, that when my teacher accused me of not listening on the reporter, I felt humiliated, of course, and I denied and explained, and I defended myself repeatedly. But after that, I realized that hearing the reporter speaking is not the same as fully listening. And because of that, I made a research and I found out that 50% of what we hear is retained immediately after we hear the words from one speaker, and only 20% after that is retained in our mind. That is according to the International Listening Association. And because of that experience, I have compiled a list or a way to become more effective listeners. And well, I have here 10 ways to improve our listening skills that I have researched, and especially because we know that effective listening is something that we need to be learned. Especially today, we work and live in this busy environment, and most of the time we practice tuning out, not tuning in. Tuning in means that it is the very first step in improving our listening skills. In order to be a successful, effective listeners, it is said that we must physically and mentally prepare for in tuning in. So I want you to encourage guys to practice this method or this step or these ways that I will be discussed in your very next conversation. For example, you can use it for something new that you know they won't feel natural until you use this a lot. These ways that I will be going to discuss, because we know that it isn't always to listen, especially when we are preoccupied with different things that needed doing an hour ago, or when we simply aren't interested in what the other person is saying. Yeah. But making the effort pays off, and listening can provide a bond of intimacy that deepens our connection or our relation to others, and it can enrich our personal relationship and help us fewer mistakes in our jobs. Listening can also increase our listening potential, and it may be even earn you a special compliment. Meanwhile, here are some further ideas of reciprocal ways to make active listeners easier for you. The first one is listen, really listen. Listen, really listen is the first one. First way to improve our listening skills. This is listen, meaning listen to one person for one day. Meaning choose one person you could relate to better, commit to listening to them, not just hearing them for one day. Like after each meeting, ask yourself like this. This I observe verbal, vocal, and visual clues with one person. And did I note that was nothing being said as was said? Or once you have gotten into this habit or nudging yourself to listen better, extend these exercises to successive days, then to other acquaintances as well. Well, listening is a gift that you can give to others. It will cost you nothing, but it may be invaluable to them, right? The second one is create receptive environment. Meaning, receptive listening environment is something that if you are listening while watching TV, You may turn off the TV or hold your calls in some situation with less listening. Forget about clicking your nails, solving crossword puzzles in your mind, or snapping your chewing gum. Instead, try to provide a private, quiet, comfortable place where you sit side by side with others without distractions. Right? If that's not possible, perhaps suggest a later meeting in a one more quieter environment. The point of this way is to what? Is to make your partner feel like that you're there for him or her. The next is do not overdo it. Do not overdo it means that sometimes newcomers to the skills of listening can get carried away. They know they're supposed to have eye contact. Also they'll stare so much the speaker will feel intimidated. Learn or tough to nod their heads to show they are understanding. Having learned to project or appropriate facial expression while listening, they look as if they are suffering gastric distress. Now, eventually, the speaker figure out that the other person recently attended in a listening seminar or read a book on the subject if they are very good listeners, right? But all good things, including listening, require moderation and suitable application. Well, too much exaggerated listening is just as bad as, if not worse than, or not at all. The next is don't talk when interrupting. Meaning, don't talk when I'm interrupting. I mean, for example, me as the speaker, if someone is interrupting, or let's say, avoid temptation to reply in any kind. As a listener, we must learn on how or when to respond or when to speak while some are talking. It will just raise the level of harmony and widen the gulf between you. Instead, be the one who shows restraint by listening to them, then quietly, calmly taking out when you let off. Right? Number 5, practice mind mapping. Practice mind mapping. This is the best way to improve your listening skills. Is an excellent method for note taking is what they call the mind mapping. Meaning, this is pre-programmed from technique that helps you take notes quickly without breaking the flow of the conversation. It is essentially that you use a rough diagram to connect primary pieces of information, then break it into pieces rather appropriate and subtopics or details. Next. Because mind mapping is the best practice to improve your listening. Number 6 is body language. When I say body language, in listening, be alert to your body language, right? I want you to think something that if you notice your listeners or other persons while the speaker is talking, what do you think with their eyes, face, hand, arms, their moves? I mean, if you notice someone you were talking to doing the following, I will give you some body language and think something that you can think what does it means, right? For example, glancing sideways, meaning glancing sideways like this. Listeners are looking at the left and right. Maybe they are looking for another interested topic about the speaker, right? The second one is yawning. Yawning is also very familiar with us. Something that they feel bored or they feel speaker as dull. Then the third is frowning. Something they are not really interested with what the speaker is talking about. Then the next, number 4 is crossing an arm chest like this. And number 5, looking at the ceiling, something that they're waiting for the listener to come, right? And that is really familiar, something that the person is not really interested of the speaker. Next is cleaning fingernails. Yeah, that is only the one way to when the person one way of body language while listening. Next is cracking nails like this. what means that they want. It means that it refers that they want. They awaken themselves to listen better than fidgeting in chair. This is usually common in a meeting in a Senate, just like that. You very quickly get the impression, if you notice that body language, right? Wouldn't you? No, that no matter words came from this person's mouth, he or she is actually has zero interest in what you're talking about, and wish that you must just go away. Now, I have a mannerism or a body language that can show or you can notice to the active listeners. Meaning, as a speaker, I will give you some body language. For example, looking into the eyes, meaning eye-to-eye contact with the speaker and the listeners. Meaning, the listeners are interested of what you are talking about. The second is smiling frequently, of course. And the third one is raising eyebrows periodically, and something that they want to critique you or respond of what you're talking about. The next is using expression, hand gesture when speaking, meaning when the listeners are responsive by using body language like hand gestures, using hand gestures. Next is keep eyes wide open, of course, to show they are really interested in what you're talking about. And licking lips, oh my god, I don't know how to lick my lips. Never. And last is leaning toward you, meaning they focus on you. Next. Saying in addition, the active listeners usually acknowledge the speaker verbally with such comment as, I see. Some figures or some phrases that the listeners are very active with the listeners very active to listen. Right? Some people are contact oriented, while others are much less so, preferring more space between them and the person they're talking to. You will be better listeners if you honor those special reference, meaning if you have all that kind of body language, this shows that listeners are interested to the speakers. Again, when you acknowledge the other person verbally and non-verbally, you will trust and increase rapport, and you'll probably learn something too, right? Then number 7 is abstain from judging. Abstain from judging is it is the basic rule to listening. You can judge only the person or the speaker after you heard them and evaluated them, right, on what they say. You must avoid jumping conclusion based on how they look, of course, or what you heard about them. Absolutely. And why are they nervous? In fact, maybe a good exercise would be able to go out of your way to listen to a difficult speaker. Maybe he talks with a thick accent. Some speakers are not really fluent with their language, right? And you must abstain from judging because as goes saying that you can judge the book by its cover. For the speaker also too. Then the next is listen with empathy. Listen with empathy meaning that no matter how arduous or inconsiderate, false or self-centered the person you are talking to is, what you have to remember this following, that he or she is trying to survive just like you, to be a good listener or to improve their listening skills. We all deal with similar physical and psychological concerns. Some of us just have better survival strategies than others. Absolutely. Listening with empathy means that asking yourself with the experience of some person or their, let's say, personal problems. But on the other hand, if you can think through what makes this person behave just like this, perhaps you'll be inclined to cut them a little slack. And generally, listening well is at its heart, of course, an act of love, and as such may be helpful. Next is be sensitive. Be sensitive meaning that be sensitive to the emotional deep spots of one person. Meaning, deep spots are words that make your mind wander or go off on a mental tangent. They automatically produce a mental barriers that impede listening. Everybody is affected that way by certain words, right? And maybe we must be sensitive and to the let's say to the speakers and for the listeners too. And this is what meaning that we can make adjustment and try to find out what raises the hackles of other people. Then avoid those words so as to raise the likely level of listening. Meaning be sensitive in emotional of others or let's say the listeners, either the speakers. And the last one ways to improve our listening skills or your listening skills is create and use an active listening attitude. When we say create and use an active listening attitude, learning to be an active listener is learning to be an active jogger. Why? Because it takes efforts. You start little by little and work upward. An active listening attitude can help tremendously in your poor listening habits, right? Exercising such an attitude means that appreciating the listening is a powerful speech. What someone says to you is just as critical as what you have to say to them, right? And understanding that listening to everybody is important and worthwhile. Let's say you can look for something that you can learn from each other and every person you meet in your everyday life. Now, that's all the 10 ways to improve your listening skills. The first one, really listen to one person a day and create a listening environment. And do not overdo it. Do not overdo the listening ways. And don't talk when interrupting. Don't talk when someone is still speaking. And practice mind mapping and noting when listening. And be sensitive with the use of the body language in listening and abstain from judging. We must abstain from judging from the speaker or until they are not finished for what they are talking about. And listen with empathy, of course. The number 9, be sensitive with your be sensitive with others. And then create and use an active listening attitude. This is the 10 ways to improve your listening skills. And there you have it. 10 ways to improve the listening, the intensity and accuracy of listening skills is tune in. The first step of someone is saying, tune out all the noise around you, and pay attention to everything that is said and left unsaid, and pick up non-verbal behaviors. And of course, you need to repeat back what you have heard in your own words. That is good listening. What is the purpose? Of course, to confirm your understanding of what the speaker said. Improving listening skills is not difficult. By the following ways or steps to improve listening skills, you will develop a greater insight into what person are really saying. Now, I hope you can use these 10 ways to improve listening skills in your next conversation or let's say in your any matter. And that's all for today, and thank you for watching.